Hello, and welcome to MATM Internship 2 training. So if you are a university supervisor, you should receive an email with all of the information and all of the instruments and rubrics that we will discuss today, the calendar as you can see on your screen, and other information. If you are a student, you should receive this packet in the mail. University supervisors only, you will have in the online portfolio system watermark a confirmation of training that we will need you to click on that in watermark and just type in when you were trained. If you were trained, let's say in fall 17 in a face-to-face training, we would want you to put that. And if you were trained in fall 18 by watching a video and online, we would want you to put online training fall 18. So we have given you two different formats to see what is due and when it's due. You can see this is the calendar form. If you'll look here, there's a note about lesson plans. All of your assignments are going to be uploaded into Watermark. If you have a TaskStream account already or have had a TaskStream account in the past, then this is the same as Watermark. If it hasn't expired, you should be able to use that same password to get into Watermark. If it has expired, please renew that if you are a student. If you are a university supervisor, let Tiffany Middleton at 662-325-0028. Tiffany's going to be your go-to person if you have any issues with watermarks. Tiffany Middleton, 662-325-0028. If you are a brand new university supervisor or a new student who's never had an account with TaskStream or Watermark, Tiffany is going to already know that you are a student or a university supervisor. She's already going to, based on the email that we have, your MS State email, student or university supervisor, whatever email you gave Donna Shea when you were hired, she's going to already have you set up in Watermark, and Watermark should send you an email. Of course, Tiffany's not going to put in your password, but she will create your account, and then when Watermark sends you that email, we will need you to put a password to that and make it an active account. So that is the account where students are going to put everything, lesson plans and everything, and that's where university supervisors are going to grade everything. So you're going to have a number of assignments, and you're going to have assessments. So university supervisors are going to visit for 4 evaluations of a lesson each four times to evaluate a lesson each time. So you can see that the first formative assessment, that's the first visit that university supervisors are going to make, will be between 9/4 and 9/14. Now this is this particular semester. If you're looking at this video and it's spring 19 or fall 19 and we haven't had the need to update this, then of course it's going to look at your calendar that you get in the mail or by email. But for this particular semester, the first formative assessment occurs between the 4th and the 14th. And so that means that the university supervisor has between the 4th and the 14th to work with the student to determine a time best for the two of them. Let's say it's the 12th is when the formative assessment is going to take place. Then lesson plans must be in Watermark for the 2 weeks prior to that time. So you would want to make sure the lesson plans were in for that. So that's what the university supervisor is most likely going to be seeing. So formative means that of course it doesn't count towards your grade. So you've got 2 opportunities for evaluations before it starts counting toward the grade. So you've got this first summative is when the first evaluation of a lesson that actually counts toward the grade, October 15th through the 26th, and then the November 5th through the 16th. Now what instrument will be used to evaluate you? And the answer to that is the Teacher Intern Assessment Instrument. So for the Teacher Intern Assessment Instrument, you need to go to ocfbi.msstate.edu, ocfbi.msstate.edu. go to our website, and when that pulls up, go to Teaching Internship, and then go to Training. Now the TIAI is an instrument that is used statewide. All universities across Mississippi, Ole Miss, USM, Blue Mountain, Belhaven, William Carey, they all, Delta State, use the same teacher intern assessment instrument. So this evaluation module has been put together, designed for students, for university supervisors, and then for our undergraduate interns, their mentor teachers all have this to go through to help them understand the instrument. So I would encourage you, in fact it's mandatory, that you go through this teacher intern assessment instrument training. To do that, you have to log in and create an account. What you're going to see when you get in there is it's portions of a Prezi, which a Prezi, if you're not familiar with that, is like a PowerPoint. You're going to watch the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint has videos within it to help explain each indicator, and then you're going to answer some questions at the end. So there's a portion of the Prezi that goes with each of these domains. There are 5 domains within that you'll be assessed on using the teacher internship assessment instrument. So it's not just basically what that supervisor can see when they visit. They're also going to be taken into consideration. You're going to be graded on your planning, your assessments, how you manage the learning environment and instruct when that university supervisor is there. So these are the domains. There's 25 indicators, and this is the rubric for the teacher intern assessment instrument. So for every indicator under planning and preparation, I, as the student, can get either an acceptable, 0 points, needs improvement, and there are clear performance level descriptors within that instrument. So that's the TIAI training. We'll need you to go through that, and you can print out a certificate at the very end just to show that you have done it, but we can also log into this as the administrator, and we can see everyone who has completed that instrument. So I showed you the calendar. You also will be given a timeline. This is just another format that has the same information that the calendar has, but we have some students, some university supervisors that prefer this format. So you can see what's coming. It's in chronological order. And I would caution you, interns, you graduate interns, you alternate route interns, even our undergraduate interns that have the extensive training in education and pedagogy, they struggle sometimes, a lot of times during internship. They struggle even their first and second years out, sometimes their third years out. So I would caution you not to get behind. It can be very overwhelming to have all of the assignments coming due for internship, coming due for your principal, and so forth. So I would just, as an educator in the past, I had a family and was working full-time when I went through my master's. Same thing when I went through my doctoral program. The only way that I was able to manage it all was I'm a morning person, so I would get up every morning and I would work a little bit. I had a plan of what needed to be done. I prioritized, and I chipped away a little bit at a time on assignments or lesson plans or whatever had to be done every morning consistently. You may be a night person. Maybe you need to stay awake at night, up at night a little bit longer and work a little bit along the way. But I would just say the main thing with this is to not get behind. So what we're going to do now is look at your assignments associated with the internship. Oh, I failed to mention one thing, I think. Make sure that you understand that if this assessment is to be conducted between November the 4th and September the 4th and September the 14th, notice that every time you're going to have lesson plans due before the assessment. So you're going to put in 2 sets of lesson plans before the assessment. So if your university supervisor is going to come on the 13th, you're going to want to have 2 sets of lesson plans in before that visit. And it's always nice to keep a binder of the lesson plans. I know that most of you these days will turn in lesson plans electronically, but most of the time you can print out lesson plans, and it was nice to keep a binder of those lesson plans. Even though the university supervisor will be grading them and they'll be able to see them, it just helps them when they're there for a physical visit if they have a binder of lesson plans that they can look through, because there's going to be things, like I said, on that TIAI that they're going to need to see in your lesson plans to be able to give you credit for. So let's look at your first assignment. You're going to have a collaboration assignment is one assignment, and it's a pretty big assignment. It's going to require that you come up with the goals. You're going to need to have a goal centered around family for the semester. How am I going to collaborate with family during the semester? How am I going to collaborate with community? And how am I going to collaborate with other professionals, with my colleagues? There's artifacts for each of these goals that you have to submit and watermark. The artifacts for the family portion is the family involvement assignment, and you're actually going to have 3 things to put in for this. You're going to have a parent introduction letter, and this particular instructions gives you what you need to know that needs to be put in your parent introductory letter. That's just introducing yourself to your parents. You don't want to put anything very personal in there. You're going to put in a reflection on 2 different family involvement activities. So there's some different examples of family involvement. That could be a newsletter home. That could be notes home. Maybe you send notes home with students. You try to do that for each student once a week. And believe me, it goes many miles if you will find something positive to say about every one of your students. If little Johnny is a behavior problem and you're going to have need to send home some more negative remarks or information about little Johnny, find something positive, because more than likely there's been very few positive notes that little Johnny's parents have received, and you need to really be mindful to establish those relationships with the parents, with the family members, so that they build trust around and know that you really care about little Johnny. If they know that, then they're going to more than likely get behind you in getting little Johnny's behavior under control. So, or this may be another example of a family involvement activity. Might be that you invited little Johnny's mother, who's a nurse, to come and speak to the class when you were discussing something health related in the classroom, or maybe you were just discussing careers, presenting different careers to your students. You might host a muffins for mom, or a donuts with dad, or something, and that might be a family involvement activity. But you're going to have to choose 2 of whatever activities that you use to communicate with parents and bring them in and have them involved in the education of their children. You're going to have to write about and reflect about it in 2 different methods that you used. And then you're going to be keeping a log. Basically, that's just a log to say, send a note home to little Johnny's parents on this date. Call little Johnny's mother on this date. Muffins with mom on this date, so forth. You're just going to keep a log of what you did. For the community involvement activity, what you're going to do is have artifacts that relate to your communication, collaboration with the community, and that might just be a letter, or an email, or documentation that you made a phone call to a community member and you ask them to be a guest speaker. Maybe you ask the mayor to come in and speak to your class. Maybe you ask the mayor to come in and read to your class. Maybe you ask a local doctor to come in and speak to your class. Maybe you had a project-based lesson centered around, let's say there was a stream that runs along behind the school and there's pollution, and maybe you had them, your students, have a project-based lesson centered around how do you solve that issue, or what are the effects on the water of this pollution, or just a large project-based learning opportunity centered around a situation in the community. Students really get behind this, and they get excited when they can see what they're learning about really relates to the real world. This is really a way to pull in all students if they really know that what they're learning about has relevance to their world around them. And then Artifact 3, professional collaboration, that would just be where you take notes at a faculty meeting or an IEP meeting, or you have pictures of you working together with your colleagues. Maybe there are professional learning communities within your school, and you have planning. You can write about the product or plan of that meeting. So every assignment is going to have a rubric. There's the rubric for that particular portion and those 3 goals: family, community, and professional. The family log, like I told you, there's your instructions, and you have a rubric, very small rubric for the log. You also have the, let's see, parent involvement instructions. This is where it tells you to write two different reflective papers about 2 of the different involvement activities, maybe the Donuts with Dad or the newsletter home or whatnot. And then there's the rubric for that. For this particular internship, you're also going to have some other assignments. You're going to have a professional development reflection. So your professional development reflection instructions would just be that you're going to be involved in, more than likely, in a number of professional development opportunities before school starts, maybe throughout. Usually school districts have a PD day. Usually it's maybe right after spring break. The students don't come back on that Monday and you have a PD day. Or maybe they don't come back on the Monday after Thanksgiving and you have a PD day. Or maybe during fall break you get one less day and then the students and you have a PD day. But you're going to have opportunities for professional development. So as you have those opportunities, you're going to write about one. A thorough explanation, evaluation of a professional development opportunity you have that relates to planning and delivery. Professional development that relates to planning and delivery. Another assignment that you have is a classroom management reflection. So for the classroom management of reflection, you're going to use your textbook that you had in your classroom management pre-licensure course or other resources, and you're going to write out strategies. You're going to choose a couple of different classroom management strategies. Maybe you're going to choose a strategy that relates to routines, or maybe room arrangement, or dealing with makeup work. You're going to choose a couple of strategies, and you're going to read journal articles that relate to it, and you're going to choose strategies and implement those strategies. You're going to keep a journal for a couple of weeks, 5 to 12 journal entries over a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, on how your strategy is working out. Is the routine working out? Is the room arrangement working out? The way you handle daily makeup or prevention of behavior, is whatever those strategies you chose, how are they working out? And then you're going to evaluate the effectiveness. You're going to look back at your journal articles, think back to those last 2 or 3 weeks, and you're going to write a reflection. What worked? What didn't? What do I need to turn? What do I need to change? So you're going to write a reflection. These are your instructions, very clear instructions on that particular assignment. And of course, with every one assignment, you're going to have the rubric that relates to that assignment. You also are going to have an end of placement reflection. So you're going to, much like in MATM or Internship 1, same, I think it's basically the same assignment that you had in Internship 1. You're going to think back over The semester, at the end of the semester, you're going to write 2 pages, double space times New Roman 12 point, addressing all of these areas in the paper, and it's just basically a reflection of the semester. And that's your rubric that has to do with that. And just like in Internship 1, if you took that before Internship 2, the CAPA, Content Area Performance Assessment, that's not something you have to submit, but it is an assessment that has to be completed. This is all of these assignments are based on accreditation standards that we must meet in order to remain accredited. If we're not accredited, students are not licensed. MDE only licenses people that graduate from teacher preparation programs that are accredited. So the CAPA is your Content Area Performance Assessment, and that is something the University Supervisor assesses you on. Then you have the MSU Dispositions that, again, this is not new to you if you took Internship 1 before Internship 2. And this is where you are assessed on responsibility. Let's see, do you have attendance issues? Are you on time? Can the principal and administration and other colleagues depend on you? Are you always dressed appropriately, groomed appropriately, present yourself professionally? Oral communication, written communication. Do you believe that all students can learn? Do you have a good attitude? Those type dispositional issues. Then the statewide disposition instrument is what all universities across Mississippi use. It's based on the Mississippi Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct standards. And this is basically just another instrument used to assess you. This one does not count. It's formative. It does not count towards your grade, internship grade, but the other dispositions instrument does. So I would just say, I've already cautioned you about getting behind, but I would also say at the very beginning of the semester, as I said, if you're taking this before Internship 1, make sure that you get all of the documents, the faculty handbook. Make sure that you know the board policies as it relates to absences, handling money. Make sure you know the discipline code, the dress code. Make sure you know what you do when you are to be absent. Who do you inform? By what time? By what method? How do you put in your lesson plans? Make sure you know our students are allowed to eat in class, chew gum in class, have their cell phones in class. If not, what happens? What are you supposed to do? But mainly, really above all, you need to know what relates to safety. You need to know fire drill, tornado drill, or an intruder on campus. What does that sound like? Is that a bell that rings 3 times quickly, stops and rings again? What is that? And just as importantly, when you hear that bell ringing, that odd bell, sequence of bell rings, what do I do with my students? Do we get down, lock the door, hide, or do we go out and exit to the right and go outside, or do we get down in the hallway right outside the classroom, and tuck their head down beside the wall? You need to know what to do with those students. You need to know your students. Do I have any students who have asthma problems? And if so, what do I do? Do I have students that have seizure problems? Do I have students that have emotional disorders? You need to know your students and know what to do when emergencies arise. So I would just say, if you feel like you're struggling, reach out to your university supervisor. Reach out to Mississippi State. We are here to support you, and as long as you are trying your absolute best, we will try our absolute best to support you.